managed to get our hands on a Renault Zoe, and I have to say we've tried to do this a few times with Renault itself, but we can only ever get one for 20 minutes and it's with somebody else with us. We've managed to get our hands on one anyway, which we've got for an hour really, but we've managed to get it on our own. So we're just going to take it for a quick drive and tell you what we think. The real competition for the Renault Zoe is the Nissan Leaf, the BMW i3 and the Kia Soul, which we've obviously managed to drive all of so far, so that's why this one's going to be particularly interesting for us. The first thing I noticed about the car is that it's brisk, it's got decent acceleration, and it's really planted. In comparison to the Leaf on the outside, this looks like a little bit of a smaller car, but actually on the inside it's got a really spacey feel, it's roomy. The earlier models of the Zoe had a white dashboard which used to reflect really badly in the windscreen. This one has now got a black dashboard, and I have to say, although you can still see it, it's a lot better. It's not quite as distracting as the white dashboard used to be. Through the corners, it's got a really planted feel to it, and it doesn't really seem to have any excessive body roll. I think if you were to chuck it round a corner, you might notice, but sort of day-to-day driving, it feels really nice. So the acceleration on the Zoe, you're not going to break any speed records, but it's definitely comparable with the Leaf. It's nippy for a little car.
This is about the third time that I've driven a Zoe in an unaccompanied fashion. They seem to be a difficult car to get hold of. This is the older version with the 22 kilowatt hour battery, albeit it's a 65 plate. So a couple of good points about this car. Keyless entry, a little button on the door, same as the Leaf. Works really well, works the same as the Leaf. Something which is fantastic that the owner has talked to us about is that little button just there. So if you press and hold that for about 6 or 7 seconds, it turns the heater on inside, which is the same as the app on the Leaf. The problem with the app is it's hideous for Nissan. The owner of this car has told us that also the Renault app is slow and sluggish, and in the end they've just given up with it, so they just use that to preheat the car. They're happy with it in terms of the range they get out of it, the way it drives. They said that in the winter it drops down to about 65-70 miles. In the summer they were seeing 85 or 90, so probably similar to the Leaf, and based on the fact that this car's a little bit lighter, I expect that the range is pretty equivalent on the two. In terms of looks, I think this is a good looking car.
I would love to drive this car around every day. It's nice and small, and I could probably park it a lot easier than I can park our car. So, but it's a lovely car. This is like a polar, I think it's a polar white it's called, and in certain lights it does look more white than blue, but it's a really nice colour as well, which you'll see in the pictures.
So inside on this model you get a reverse camera, you've got keyless entry, you've obviously got the heater on the key, so you can preheat the car. Talking about the ergonomics, the layout's really good. However, the touchscreen, well, that's a little bit different. If you want to change the radio station, for example, you do have to navigate through a few screens, which can be a little bit frustrating, I've got to say. I think people do tend to like buttons. That's just my opinion. It might be something that you get used to, but the owner, who drives it every day, has said actually she and he prefer a button.
Yeah, I think when you're trying to drive, it's just nice to just be able to press something, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to not have to concentrate too much, I feel. But then I suppose that is the way cars are going. They don't want buttons. Yeah.
We've all on the little touch screens, so maybe we've just got to get used to it.
Yeah. Okay, the range predictor on this car is really accurate. Seems to be going down consistently with the way I'm driving it. Albeit we have only driven around country roads and through the town. I think if we got on the motorway, that might drop off quite quickly. This comes with rapid charging, albeit 22 kilowatt, but it's only a 22 kilowatt battery, so from empty to full, you're looking at more or less an hour. But when do you ever turn up at a rapid charger with 0% in a battery? Not often, although we have done it a few times.
And with the turtle.
Yeah. Even though there's quite a lot of weight in this car for a small car, I mean, a car of this size equivalent is 1,000 kilos. You're looking at a Fiesta at 900 kilos. There's no real dive when you hit the brakes, and there's not a lot of squat on the car. When Kate was driving through the bends, she said there's no real body roll, so if it comes across as a car that's a lot wider and has a much bigger footprint, although it's a really narrow, quite a small car. Yeah, there's not a lot between this and the Leaf.
No, I think we do love our Leaf, we do. We're going to be really sad to see that car go, but this is a definite close second. And I think especially if we were to have a second car again, after the Leaf's gone, this would be something we'd consider. Yeah, just for the shorter journeys.
The range of the new one with the 44 kilowatt battery, kilowatt hour battery, I beg your pardon. I mean, they're quoting over 200 miles, but realistically, 170, 180 miles. That's perfect. When this car was purchased, the owners had terrible trouble trying to find a dealer which knew anything about this car, which is, I've got to say, pretty consistent across Renault and Nissan.
And Kia, actually.
And Kia, yeah. Kia were the same.
We found it with all of them.
In fact, the only ones who really know anything about it were BMW.
Yeah, and actually, they were more clued up on it. But
they were.
We tended, or James tended generally, to know more than they did actually about the cars themselves, and they were almost a little bit reluctant to want to let you try them or get you one. I mean, we've struggled to get hold of. What is it we've struggled to get hold of?
Yeah, Volkswagen e-Golf.
E-Golf.
And like I say, unaccompanied test drive as well. So the only people actually who do an unaccompanied test drive that I know of for 4 days is Nissan.
And BMW.
And sorry, beg your pardon, BMW, yeah. But Renault won't do it, which is bizarre.
It's a shame because it's so important when you, especially if you don't have an EV already.
Yeah. Naught to 60, you're not going to break any land speed records in this car.
We just tested it.
But it's quick enough. When do you do 0 to 60? A car in its lifetime generally spends no more than 3% at its maximum performance. It needs a 0 to 60, especially when you buy a car like this. In terms of charging for this car, the owners have a 32 amp home charger. And they think that it will charge in 3.5 hours. Generally, the battery is never empty when you plug it in, so maybe 4 hours, but that's pretty quick, isn't it? That's quick enough. They've never had any issues with charging. They've never used any local charger or rapid charger because they use it as a local runaround, but they think the car's perfect.
So I think we're heading back now with the car, and I think overall we both really like it. It's a nice looking car, and I think, you know, like James said for his daughter, perfect. And I think it's a really nice car. We can't think of many bad points about it. I think the main things we said were the room in the back and perhaps the boot space, which we haven't been able to get a picture of actually because the boot's a bit full. So, but the boot space isn't amazing. But I think if you're using it as a run around, you don't need loads of boot space. Just need to put your shop in. That's it really. So yeah, I think that's pretty much concluded our test drive.
If you were thinking of buying one, what I would say is probably worth waiting for the 44 kilowatt hour battery upgrade. However, I've heard a rumour that you've either got to pay a massive premium to have fast charging, rapid charging, or they're not putting it on there. Why would you build a car and not put rapid charging on there, meaning that people can't drive it anywhere?
That is a bit crazy.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid. But
it kind of wipes out a whole area of the market for them in terms of long distance travel. But there we go. We'll see what happens. So let us know what you think. If you've got any questions, we'll try and answer them as best we can. You know, we can get into contact with the owners as much as we need to, and if you've got any questions you want us to ask them, we'll ask them. So
Yeah.